Hi, it's Michael Minkoff from Renew the Arts, and I just wanted to let you know that we released episode 64 of the new season of the Renew the Arts podcast, and it is available everywhere now. And I also wanted to tell you a little bit about this episode and the theme of our new season. So this episode has 3 word pictures that I like to use in order to clarify our relationship with the arts and also a little bit of the creational process for artists. So these 3 word pictures are, first, space station Christianity, which I like to talk about this in terms of there's an idea of Christianity and the work of the church and even life that's really based on this utilitarian, essentialist perspective of only the things that are necessary for life are really the things that we should be most concerned with. And it's not even things of life in general or even life in a biblical sense. It's more subsistence or existence that's in view. And I think that when it comes to the arts, we're getting closer to a picture of life that God himself has set for us, where Jesus says he comes to give us life and life abundantly. So this idea of abundant life is really something beyond just subsistence. And I think when you talk about space stations versus the life on the earth, you can see the difference between an essentialist view of life and this view of life that is more rooted in a biblical sense of grace and abundance and the flourishing life. Speaking of flourishing, that's really going to be the theme for this podcast for this season. And we are really looking forward to digging into some interviews and other kinds of topics where we talk about these things a little bit more fully, to talk about how the arts and beauty really do lend themselves to a flourishing life. But let me tell you a little bit about the other 2 word pictures that I offer up in this first episode. The second word picture is the idea of antibiotic culture versus probiotic culture. And I talk about how antibiotics really are this idea that since some germs are dangerous, we should just destroy all germs. And I liken that to our relationship sometimes with the affections or with the emotions, that because some emotions can be dangerous, manipulative, or untrustworthy, then we have this idea that we have to just kill all of them. And that really affects the arts. And I think the arts instead are a way of cultivating positive and healthy and ordered emotions so that they outcompete and really push out those negative potential emotions that become toxic and unhelpful and manipulative. So check in on the episode to hear more about that. And then the third word picture is more for artists, but it's this idea of miniature for scale. And one of the major issues I see with a lot of art and with some of the approach to art, especially among Christian artists, is this idea that the arts, since they're talking about something massive, something huge, they tend to run to abstractions and generalizations and often repeated just lines of God is great, God is great, God is great, rather than really reaching for the largeness that kind of makes God seem small. I don't want to know that God is great. I really want to know how God is great. And so this picture of miniature for scale helps us, I think, to understand that sometimes when you want to talk about the really, really big things, you have to start by digging into the really, really small things. So again, check out the episode and you can hear more about that. And I hope those 3 word pictures are really helpful for you all. And I'm really looking forward to this next season of the podcast where we dig in a lot more into this idea of flourishing and how art and beauty help us in order to live a more abundant life. So thanks for listening. Check that out and we'll talk again soon.